There's Biggie. I just told him.
Howdy.
I just told B. He's got a little edge to him today. I like it. He's a little fired
I
up.
don't know what it is.
He's calling it as he sees it.
Yeah,
He's spunky.
You've got spunk today, and I like that in you. You know, you got a little edge, got a little fire.
Yeah.
Fire in the belly, I guess we'd say.
I feel like I sound bad again. I feel like I've been battling this sickness for weeks now, and I have been, and I think that might be it.
I feel worse today than I did yesterday.
Yeah.
Surprisingly. You know, it's like yesterday I thought, okay, I've done it. I've kicked it now. But I got an email, and maybe you could get the same thing, from a P1 listener, female, who says, I think you should get sicker more often because your voice is deeper and sexier.
Wow.
Oh, the quiet storm syndrome.
That's what Chris Demm calls it, quiet storm. Can't go high.
Mm-hmm.
Very difficult yesterday during my podcast. Yes. I was doing some podcasting yesterday. That may have...
Here's Tony Braxton. Because back in my day, the quiet storm was a radio format.
That's right.
And all the DJs talk like this.
That's how I have to talk now because I can't.
Unbreak my heart.
That's it.
I can't go
exactly.
high. I can't go high. So during the podcast yesterday, which all we do is talk football, when I wanted to take apart all these things, I'd go hi, and my co-host is like, edit,
do it.
cut and edit, cut.
And what's with the Russell Wilson?
I said that a lot, and it was like, cut, focus, edit. We got to edit that down.
Did you see that little Russell Wilson factoid I dropped on? I don't know if you saw this, Biggie, on social media.
Boy, I hate this one. Now, this is upsetting.
I don't have it in front of me, but
I wrote it down.
Okay.
I wrote it down. Russell Wilson. Let me get it exactly right now. Russell Wilson,
Broncos quarterback,
who they just traded all their draft picks, gave him a $250 million contract, has 12 bathrooms in his new home in Denver and 5 touchdown passes on the season. He has 7 more bathrooms than touchdown passes.
What's
Week 6?
Yeah. 12 to 5 is what he has.
Will he get to 12 touchdowns this year?
I don't know. It's 50-50, honestly. I hate to say it.
When your team, Kelly, signed Wilson, I know you and your son are giant Bronco fans. Was there high-fiving and dancing in the home?
Yes, there's celebration. My son texted me from school.
It's the missing piece.
Yeah, he texted me from school. All they said about the Broncos was they need a quarterback. That's all they need. They need a quarterback. So my son texted me from school, as he always does, with the news, OMG, we got Russell Wilson. And I was in the car. I pulled over and started weeping for joy. And I said, no,
the missing piece.
No. I immediately turned over to sports radio. All of them said, oh, this is it for the Broncos. This is it. Wait for them to take off.
Start engraving the trophy.
Yeah.
That's right.
Well, I'd like to go back to the experts because at the beginning of the season, they were like, this is the best division
ever
in football.
Ever.
Maybe ever. We're going to see an unbelievable competitive, maybe the greatest ever. Because every team, they said, the Raiders, great. The Broncos, great. The Chiefs, great. The Chargers, great.
Well, look at the quarterbacks.
Yeah.
Russell Wilson.
Exactly.
Of course, Mahomes.
Yeah.
And Herbert. And then even Carr is good. They were like, the Raiders are going to finish 4th in this division and still be one of the best teams in the league. Instead, the division they said was awful. The NFC East is really good.
Yeah.
And the AFC West is not. But I did hear a sportscaster yesterday say, can Russell Wilson, how is it that you go from being, he compared it to school, an A-, B+ student to F's, the worst student in the school? What's going on? Why did he go from really good to awful in one overnight, period? It's just like 6 months passed and he went from really good to awful. And I don't know the answer to that. He was blaming the coach and other things, and we overvalued the receivers. But anyway, that's the stat of the day, is that Russell Wilson has 7 more bathrooms in his home than touchdown passes for the Broncos.
How many of those has he pooped in?
I'll bet you he's only pooped. Now, I'm a guy who's had a few bathrooms, okay?
Okay.
Not 12.
I was going to ask, do you want to share your number?
Let me see how many bathrooms do we have. I'm not going to say. That's private. That's private.
We have 2.5.
You have 2.5.
I'll share. 2.5.
I have 1.
Well, you're in an apartment.
Well, we're counting still.
Okay, I have more than 2.5. I'll say that.
Have you pooped in all of them?
No. I have not pooped in all of them because my daughter's bedroom has one. My son's bedroom has one. I haven't pooped in either one of those.
Those belong to them.
Yeah. I pooped in a few, not all of them, but the majority of them.
I bet Russell Wilson's only pooped in 2.
I do too.
Is there one off the kitchen in your home?
There is. Yes. Well, yes. There's
a little powder room?
A powder room, for guests.
Yes.
I'll bet Russell Wilson has pooped in 2 bathrooms of his 12 in his house. I bet you're right. I bet he's pooped in the master bedroom and also in the powder room.
Metaphorically, he's done it in all 6 games.
He's pooped in at least 4 stadiums. I know that.
Yeah.
I know he's done that metaphorically for sure. Here's a couple of updates today on stories we've been talking about all this week. First of all, another model has spoken out against Meghan Markle. My wife is so into this story. She hates Meghan Markle, as you know, hates her. And then I got some pictures of Meghan Markle from Deal or No Deal yesterday. People saying, man, she was smoking when she was on that show. Oh, you know what I say to that? It's all about integrity. It's all about her mind.
All about what?
Her mind. It's all about empowerment. And she said the show made her feel like a bimbo. Most people are saying, well, then why did you take the job? I mean, and a lot of other models are saying, wasn't the case with me. We all know what we were getting into, and everybody treated me very well. Here's another one saying, I didn't ring true what she said.
They wanted beautiful women to work on the show, like most television shows and commercials. We've all been in the business for a long time. And I just wanted to speak up because I kind of felt a little defensive of the other 25 models on the show. I personally never felt that way, but I don't want to take away from Megan's experience. I'm actually sad that she felt that way, and I wish I would have known that because I would have spoken to her about it.
I wonder if she really did feel that way at that time, or does she look back now and say, oh, I should say that I feel objectified. I felt objectified on that show. You know, I felt like a bimbo on that show. But most people are saying exactly what that model just said.
Are we objectifying her by not giving her name?
I don't know her name.
It just said model.
It says
Let's
model.
see, former hot chick.
It just says hot chick. This says hot model.
Yeah.
Another hot model. I do not know her name.
We value women for their totality.
That's exactly right.
They're more than your looks.
That's exactly right. The other story I want to update very quickly, and I think this is an important story too, is the Jason Sudekis, Olivia Wilde breakup. Yes, and the nanny who has been speaking out. They had a nanny. Now, if you don't know, this is a couple. He plays Ted Lasso. She's been in shows and movies. And they're going through a rough time right now. They split. They were never married. They split. He served her with court papers while she was premiering a movie. And it was a pretty rough moment for her. She looked at the papers like, oh, okay. A lawyer came up there and gave them to her while she was on stage. At the time, Sudekis said, oh, I didn't know. I didn't instruct the lawyer to do that. Now people think he did. The nanny said she was cheating on Sudekis with her current boyfriend.
Not the nanny.
No. The
Olivia.
Olivia was cheating on Jason Sudekis with the current boyfriend, Harry Styles, and that this came to light because she made her special and famous salad dressing for him and was going to rush it over to him. And Jason Sudekis crawled under the back wheels of the tire and said, you won't go. Wheels of the car and said, you won't go. I can't let you go. So they fought all the time, and it was just terrible. And she was consumed so much by Harry Styles, she gave away her beloved dog because the dog was taking too much time, and she wanted to be with Harry Styles. Now, a super nanny says this nanny shouldn't be talking about her.
She's a disgrace to nannies?
She's a disgrace to nannies for saying this. Here's a super nanny. This woman is on a show called Super Nanny.
That's still a thing?
Yes, TV reality show. Her name is Jo Frost.
This nanny needs to mind her own business, to learn the importance of boundaries. Divorce, separation is emotionally very tough on the entire family. It's one where we must address with sensitivity.
She says nannies live by a code. You don't talk about what goes on with the family.
You think cops don't talk about other cops?
Yeah.
You talk about you break the nanny code, forget about it.
You don't
cross that line.
You don't break nanny code. Nannies keep to themselves when it comes to the business of
protect the shield.
Always. Exactly right. So that's the update on that story. I saw a headline today too. I had to read it. You remember last week when Angela Lansbury passed? I took it harder than most. You remember that?
Mm-hmm.
I said...
You hate it when a 96-year-old just drops dead.
I couldn't believe it.
Out of the clear blue.
Unexpected.
I couldn't believe it. It was so shocking. In her sleep. I watched the Murder, She Wrote marathon. Okay? I did that. I went back. I did a deep dive on her. All those things. Biggie said, I thought she was already dead. That hurt. That got to me.
Sorry.
I think a lot of people might have thought that. Then I read a headline today. Why was Angela Lansbury in a sex club in the mid-'80s? I thought, well, I better click on that to see what's going on with it. Don't disgrace the great Angela Lansbury. There is a director named John Waters who wrote a book called Mr. Know-It-All in 2019. Apparently he's in Hollywood circles and went to like the Playboy Mansion a lot and that kind of thing.
Well, Waters is a nut. I mean, he's Hairspray.
Absolutely. That's right. That's right.
That's right. All those exploitation movies in the 70s.
Exactly what he did.
He's a wild character.
Yes. And he was saying in the book, now people are reading this excerpt from his book from 3 years ago. He says that at one point he went to a place called Hellfire, which was a straight/gay bar. Anybody could go, but all sorts of crazy things went on there. And he said, I was at the bar and I looked to my left and there was Angela Lansbury. And he said, but it wasn't uncommon to see all sorts of celebrities in it. They just sort of wanted to check it out to see what it was all about. But what grabbed my attention was he said, this place, Hellfire, everybody went. She wasn't doing anything. It was a straight gay bar where people had sex. You'd be standing there talking to someone and suddenly a penis would come through a glory hole and you'd say, oh, we better move to the other side of the room.
I'm sorry.
Oh, what is that?
This table was reserved.
Oh, we got to... We got to move. We got to go. We can't stand here.
You think the guy on the other side of the wall is like, hello? I shoved this through here. Hello.
I read that.
You know the rules.
Yeah. Jeez.
What?
When you walk through the doors of Hellfire, you know the rules.
Very common, he said. He said you'd be standing there chatting, and all of a sudden you get poked and go, oh, my gosh, let's get a different table. Let's go somewhere else. This is different. So Angela Lansbury was there, but it was only because she was curious to see what it was all about, according to this guy, John Waters. But she had such a, we talked about it at the time. Her son and daughter had issues with drugs, and she moved them to, I believe it was Ireland, to get them away from the drugs. And her daughter was hooking up or hanging out with Manson, with Charles Manson. And Lansbury said she had a bad feeling about him, so she literally picked up the whole family and moved them from L.A. to Ireland to get them away from that whole scene. Very interesting. Then there's recently another update. We talked about that show Cobra Kai, and Biggie says that they're doing too much now. They're going too far, and that Ralph Macchio's character constantly visits Mr. Miyagi's grave, to the point where you think Miyagi is probably in there going, can't you solve your own problems now? I mean, you're 60 now. You're older than I was in the first movie. Have you seen this new season, Biggie? So I hear it's coming back strong.
I've let it go after 3 episodes.
Oh, you did?
Uh-oh.
Yeah, I just haven't been back to it. There's so much going on. I haven't even started. Well, I watched 1 episode of Handmaid's Tale. I haven't started that back up.
I haven't either. Handmaid's Tale is the only reason I have Hulu.
Yeah.
And yet I haven't been drawn back to it.
No, I haven't. Well, I think, the horror movies have a lot to do with it.
Well,
because I'm watching a movie every night. But at the same time, my other shows I like that new Star Wars show, Andor, is great.
Is it?
I think you'd like that.
Really?
Yeah.
The Star Wars universe.
Not in the Mandalorian or anything like that, but I think you'd enjoy that.
So Chris Tim's doing a wind-up.
I know. That's why
I didn't say anything.
I wanted to mention that it's not part of the Mandalorian universe.
Thank you.
It's still part of the milking the teet universe.
I saw your face.
Of Star Wars.
I saw your face.
Milked every character's teat.
You said everything with your eyes.
The teat.
He said everything with his eyes. He's teat milking.
Was this a character?
Yeah. It's based off a character in Rogue One.
Okay, all right. I liked Rogue One.
You loved Rogue One.
Rogue One.
I think you'd like this show.
Sometimes I can't remember which one, what I've seen and what I haven't. There's so many of them out there now.
Yep.
Well, this is the whole thing. Ralph Macchio has just confirmed that they are deep into discussions to do a Mr. Miyagi prequel series. Where
I can see that coming.
A show with a young Miyagi and how
did he become Miyagi?
Yeah. God, it's incredible now. What they do. They just take one movie, one idea.
I might actually take off.
I wouldn't doubt it, yeah. And we'd get somebody young to play him, over in Okinawa. Mm-hmm. All of that. You're right. It's exactly right. I visited that Rolling Stones. They just listed their 100 best television shows of all time, Rolling Stone magazine. I saw this when we were on vacation. I was watching the Today Show. And they had the top several on there. And I thought, whichever one I haven't seen, the top one I haven't seen, I'm just going to watch it. And now I'm 6 episodes into that one. It's called Fleabag on Amazon Prime. And I remember, now this woman now, she's becoming really popular, Phoebe Waller-Bridge. And I remember a few years ago, it won all the Emmys. It did very well. It's only 2 seasons. It's a phenomenal show.
Great show.
I love it. You saw it. I love it.
I watched it back then, yeah.
I know. And back then you told me, watch Fleabag. And I was like, yeah, right. What does Biggie know? He doesn't know what he knows what's talking about. I always do that with Biggie.
Mm-hmm.
I was like,
Biggie likes Transformers movies.
I'm not going to go watch that. Well, sure enough, I started watching it, and it is fantastic. Excuse me. It is so good.
It is.
It is. It's.
Is it funny? Is it poignant?
Yes. It is. They do it so well. It's one of those shows that's rip-roaringly funny one second, and then so sad and depressing the next. And they do it as well as any show I have ever seen. It's only on 2 seasons.
Are you watching solo, or is the wife watching with?
Well, that's the whole thing. I started watching solo because she was at work. I was on vacation off. So I started watching it. But I have now recommended it to her, but there's some grimy sex. I mean, a lot of episodes have some sex scenes that are, not pleasant. They're more dirty sex.
If I recall, doesn't the very first episode involve anal?
Yeah, first scene. Scene is, the no-go. And you know what I'm talking about. I'm talking about anal, okay? And I'm very uncomfortable even discussing it or even seeing it. And I know my wife is. But I've told her it's so good you have to wade through that,
Just get past the first episode and the anal.
I mean, there's
Some
other
call it the no-go scene.
there's other no-go scenes. There's no-go scenes. The one I just saw, they're doing the same thing, and the guy lost his he couldn't perform. He could not perform anymore. And then I thought, I've got a solution for that. I work with a company.
Treatments. There's rings.
For that. Yep, that's exactly right. But I mean, that's a good show. It's called Fleabag. And once again, I completely disregarded Biggie telling me about it 6 years ago and only did it when Savannah Guthrie told me to watch it 2 weeks ago. Unbelievable. I don't even, I apologize
No,
to
it's
you.
fine. I'm used to it.
No, I know. I apologize
In
to you.
5 years, you'll watch Andor and be like, have you seen Andor?
Exactly.
Do you remember Rogue One?
Exactly.
I
And
thought they were just milking the teats.
and here you were telling me to watch Milk the Teats, and I didn't do it. I have not done it. One more update now on things we've been talking about, and you talk about a back and forth story. First, it was James Corden, host of Late Show, was terrible to restaurant workers. He was terrible to waiters and waitresses, so much so that the owner of Balthazar kicked him out and said, "You're never coming back here again. You complain, you scream, you're belligerent, get out." He apologized over the phone, so the owner of Balthazar says, "All is forgiven. You can come back."
Come on back.
Yeah.
Your table's ready.
Took 24 hours. That's right.
And the owner posted, I don't know if you've seen this, he posted some weird Instagram post where he was like eating dinner with his daughters, and he's like, I feel really weird about the James Corden thing.
No, I haven't seen this part.
Yeah. And he's like, I feel really weird. I didn't mean for it to do damage to his image. And he's like,
not?
oh, anyways, I'm going to go get drunk. He's got his like daughters sitting next to him. Like, what? So he's a weird guy too.
What's wrong with this guy?
Yeah.
Was it you, Biggie, saying that one of the reasons he's saying, "Oh, okay, all is forgiven," is because people started looking into his past?
No, that was me.
Yeah, Chris Demm said that.
Yeah, yesterday. I got a message from a P1 who said that people started looking into, and I can't remember the man's name. Is it McNally?
Yeah, Keith McNally. That's his
McNally,
name,
who
yeah.
runs Balthazar and a couple of other big restaurants in New York. So
Yeah.
he's a successful restaurateur.
Yeah.
People started looking into his past and saying, who is this cat? And apparently he's said some things that are sort of in support of or in defense of people who are now on the wrong side of the social coin. Woody Allen.
Oh,
Ghislaine Maxwell.
not Epstein.
You don't want to be in the pro-Ghislaine camp.
Oh, boy. I'm uncomfortable. This is as uncomfortable as the anal scene.
The no-go.
The no-go in Fleabag. Okay.
Well, and it seemed like the world was oddly split on this. Like I came down on the side of good boot Corden. I figured he was an ass.
Yeah, people who are rude to servers are bad people.
Yeah.
That's not right.
Then
It's a flaw.
half the crowd was, well, maybe he did get bad service. Is he not allowed to complain about bad service?
You are, but
of course.
yeah.
There are ways.
You can go to the man. You don't have to yell at the
Yes.
person, scream at him, and belittle him in public, or
I'm the host of the 7th most popular late night television show. All right.
Well,
If I want an egg yolk omelet, I don't want any egg whites in it.
That was the thing. He got an egg yolk salad. And he had egg
He had
white.
egg whites in the egg yolk omelet.
And he was he was ticked. That's what really set him off. Did it a couple of times, but that one really got him. To the point where the poor woman who served him was crying and everything.